What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hutch Coming in Clutch. I'm your host, Hutchison Brown, and today we've got a fantastic show. I am talking about some trades to make in Dynasty leagues. Over the last couple weeks, I've seriously focused in on rookies after the NFL draft, but now I want to talk about some veteran players. Not all of these buy-sells are honestly based on the NFL draft. They're just buy-sells in Dynasty in general because trades are going on a lot right now in Dynasty League. As rookie drafts are happening, people are trying to trade for those rookie picks, trade up in rookie drafts, trade out of rookie drafts, trade down in rookie drafts. All these trades are going on. I see a lot of deals being made. So I want to talk about some players to target in these deals if you're looking for some trades to make. So without further ado, before I get into the show today, I'd appreciate it if you were following me on Twitter. I'm at HutchisonB_FF. I'm also over there on Blue Sky as well. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening so you'll be notified every single time a new episode does drop. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Hutch Coming in Clutch so you make sure you see all the clips, highlights, and updates about the pod. So without further ado, let's get into this show. We're going to start, though, with some breaking news before we get into the trade targets. First thing I want to talk about is the NFL schedule release. Quite fun. The NFL schedule release is really, really fun. You know, a lot of teams have come out with some really creative videos to try to promote their schedule. You know, I know the Titans the last 2 years. I don't know if they did it this year, actually. I didn't see their Twitter. If they did the boardwalk video where they have fans guess, or random people, honestly, on the boardwalk guess random NFL logos, and that's their schedule. I know that caused some really good laughs for me last year, as well as a lot of other NFL fans. And then you're looking at the Chargers social media. They've done a great job. They did some anime ones, and this last year they did a Minecraft video. It was pretty good. Loved it. And then you're looking at a lot of other teams posting memes, different pictures, different little videos. The Arizona Cardinals did a full-on rap this year to release their schedule. I thought that was pretty cool. But overall, the NFL, how they've done it the last handful of years, you know, really starting to get in on this schedule release thing. It's really fun. It used to be just like a little basic post and that's it, but now teams are getting pretty creative with it, and every NFL team is fighting to see who can be the most creative, who can be the most fun with their scheduled release. It's pretty awesome to see. I'm very, 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 very entertained by it. It's awesome. Now, focusing on a more serious side, though, of the NFL schedule release, you know, most people don't like to pay attention to the schedule too hard. However, I think there's things you can get out of it. And I think I'm going to do a deeper dive on this next week because while most of the schedules have been released, there are some games and some things that haven't been released yet. So as it gets fully released over the next few days, next week, I'm going to do a deeper dive. But I wanted to give you one example of what I'm looking for here. I want to look at the New York Giants because they are a team where not only their quarterbacks are on the hot seat, but their coach and their GM are on the hot seat. So you're looking at a team that could be really bad, and if it is, there's going to be major implications for fantasy football. A quarterback could be benched very quickly, a coach could be fired very quickly. And looking at the Giants' schedule, it's rough. You start with the Chiefs, then you go for the Chargers, the Eagles, and then you're looking at the Bills, the Jets, the Patriots, the Commanders, and the Cowboys. Those are your first 8 games. A couple of those are like, okay, they might be able to sneak a win out of here, like two maybe of them. But the rest are like, oh yeah, they're gonna lose that game. Like, I mean, you're not beating the Chiefs, you're not beating the Eagles, you're not beating the Bills, you're not beating the Chargers. Like, this is gonna be a slow start for the New York Giants. And given the quarterback situation, given how scary it is, given the coach's situation right now, they can't afford that. Like, they can't afford that. I think after the first few weeks, we might see some big moves made for the New York Giants. So while people think, oh, Russell Wilson might have the job all season, maybe Jameis Winston gets in, who gets in? Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston. If the Giants start 2-6, guys, there's going to be major moves made. There's going to be a quarterback change. There probably will be a coach change. You know, maybe they're giving Brian Daboll a chance with Jackson Dart. We'll see. But this is going to be really, really intriguing for fantasy football to watch play out. But there's other schedules as well that I'm going to talk about probably in next week's episode as all the full schedules get released. Now, Derrick Henry, 2 years, $30 million, 25 of it fully guaranteed. Fully guaranteed money for Derrick Henry. This is quite fun. This is really quite fun, man. I love to see this for one of the better running backs we've ever seen play the game, one of the better running backs that's in the league right now. Love it. Absolutely love it. Big contract. Is it smart for the Ravens? I'm not sure. Derrick Henry's, approaching age 30. He's had a lot of miles on his legs. That fall off, that cliff is coming at any moment. I hate to say it, it's scary, but it's coming. And I don't know if he's gonna last 3 more years like the Ravens are giving him. It might not be 3 more years. It might only be 2. It might only be 1 more year. It might be 0. However, what this does for me is this does give me a stamp of confidence that the Ravens are confident that he can play football at a high level for the next couple of seasons. So while the Ravens are confident, that's a great sign. It isn't going to be 100% accurate, but if the Ravens are confident, I'm going to be confident. And as long as Derrick Henry isn't going ridiculous high, like top 3, top 5, I think if he's going more as a back end RB1, I'll be totally fine drafting him in fantasy football. I just have a hard time drafting him top 5 in redraft because that price tag is just so expensive for a guy who doesn't catch passes and who could fall off at any moment. I would like him to be more in the back end of the RB1 numbers. Not RB1 ADP, that is. But that's it for the breaking news. Pretty quick here, only a couple pieces. So without further ado, we're going to jump into my Dynasty trades to make. We got 7 players here we're going to talk about. Some buys, some sells, all different positions. I really went positionless here. I usually do that when it comes to these shows. I like to go positionless. I do want to make sure that if I'm giving you advice, I'm not giving you advice because I had to fill in a tight end spot, or I had to fill in a running back spot, or I had to fill in a quarterback spot, or I had to fill in a receiver spot. I want to give you the players that I'm most passionate about. So we're going to start. We're heavy running back here for the first 4 players I'm going to talk about. We're buying DeAndre Swift. Right now, his current price is about 208 on Keep Trade Cut, or a future early mid 2026 second. I think this is a great price for this kind of running back. He's a 26-year-old explosive athlete at the running back position that can make both plays at running back and receiver. He can make plays at both positions. In 5 NFL seasons, he's finished as a top 24 back 5 times in PPR scoring. So all 5 seasons, even with injuries, even with things getting in his way, he's finished really highly for fantasy football. He's been very productive. And now looking at the offense this season, he's in an offense led by Ben Johnson, who we consider an offensive mastermind. He has a revamped offensive line in Chicago. You have a quarterback in Caleb Williams who's looking to take a year 2 breakout after an interesting, flashy year 1 with some struggle. And then you have one of the best receiving corps in the entire National Football League, featuring Cole Kmet, Colson Level, Luther Burden, DJ Moore, and Roma Dunze. And a lot of these, Roma Dunze could be a huge breakout this year. Luther Burden's an exciting young rookie. Colson Loveland's an exciting young rookie. Cole Kmet is a very solid player. Like, you got a lot of exciting pieces on this offense. And this offense could legit be top 5 in scoring. And if you have the starting running back for a top 5 offense at this kind of price tag, you're going to have immense value for fantasy football. Because looking at DeAndre Swift, I mean, he was already productive last year in this gross offense. Now you put him in a much better offense. We're looking at like what he was doing with Philadelphia in the first half, where he's getting the starting running back volume, a ton of carries, a lot of opportunity. And in that first half for Philly, he was basically an RB1. The second half, he lost a lot of volume. The Philly offense stopped running the football. They just got away from it. And as a result, DeAndre Swift struggled for fantasy immensely. But in the first half, that dude was an RB1. And I think that's kind of the season we can see for DeAndre Swift. Now, looking at long-term in this, he's 26 years old, and the contract situation suggests that he's probably off the team next year unless he has a stunner of a season. So this could be a 1-year, 2-year rental kind of deal when you're doing with DeAndre Swift. And Dynasty, that's not always fun. It's not always good to think about. However, the price is a late second. If you're a contending team this year, if you're a championship-pushing team this year, and you can send one of your future seconds or a second this year for a running back that's going to be the starter on potential elite offense, I think I'd be happy to do that. Now, let's look at Saquon Barkley. It pains me to say this as an Eagles fan. We're selling Saquon Barkley. I can't get around this one. There's no other option with Saquon Barkley that you have to sell off his peak value. He's being valued as a top 5 dynasty back right now, and I just think that's ridiculous. I mean, not ridiculous because I know the season he had last year, but I just think that's overpriced. I think there's someone in your dynasty that's willing to pay way too much for Saquon Barkley. Looking at the last 24 running backs that have hit 450 touches in a season, including playoffs, and that Saquon Barkley hit 482 last year, the average PPR points per game drop from that season, that magical season of 450 plus touches, to the next year is 4 points per game. That's the average. Only 2 of the 24 backs gained fantasy points. And if they did gain fantasy points, it was 0.5 points per game and 0.8 points per game. So barely any gain at all. So the reality we're looking at is that Saquon Barkley is not going to repeat next season. And in fact, he's likely going to take a solid dip. If he took a 4-point per game dip, that would put him at RB7 next year. And while that's not bad, the fantasy community, he's a 29-year-old back that has had plenty of injury history, and he comes off a magical season of RB1 overall, clear cut, down to RB7. People are going to move him down the Dynasty rankings pretty dang quickly. He is a different player. He is truly amazing, one of the best running backs in football right now. And honestly, I think if he had less injuries in his career, we'd be looking at him as one of the better running backs of all time. However, when you look at the list of players that hit 450 touches in a season, you're looking at some of the Hall of Fame running backs you talk about today as some of the best of all time. These guys still dipped in points per game after. Saquon is no different. I think he's going to dip as well. And this is just going to be no good for fantasy. Right now, you could sell Saquon Barkley for Trey McBride. You can sell him for Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Nico Collins. That's his value in keep trade cut. And I think those are totally worth it. Don't take cheap prices. But I think there's someone in your league that's willing to pay way too much for Saquon right now. Now, we are selling James Cook. He's valued at about a late first, mid to late first on keep trade cut. I think that's absolutely ludicrous. This is just an abomination. I'm so sorry. I like James Cook. There's no way what he did last year is repeatable, and there's no way he's going to put up the same production. About 50% of his PPR points last year came from touchdowns. He lost 30 carries compared to 2023. He lost 16 targets compared to 2023 in 2024, but he gained 12 touchdowns, tripling his touchdown count from 2023, tripling it. You're on an offense with Josh Allen, who can steal plenty of rushing touchdowns. You're a 190-pound back in a full-time committee between Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. I'm sorry. No chance he's scoring 20 touchdowns again next year, guys. No chance. And you do the math. If he scores 10 touchdowns next year, which for him, I think that's even a little high. If you score 10 touchdowns, you're barely sniffing RB2 numbers. I mean, barely sniffing RB2 numbers. He was almost not even an RB1 last year with league-leading touchdown numbers. I don't see it. I don't understand why he's being valued so high. It's so abundantly clear that his price is going to come down, that his value is going to come down after a down season next year with much less touchdowns. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm looking at him, especially considering his offseason debut right now with the Buffalo Bills. He could be on a whole new team next year. And while I like other teams potentially for fantasy for running backs, the draft has already happened. A lot of running backs have gotten their landing spots. There's not a lot of teams that are running back needy right now. And Buffalo's a great offense. So it'd be hard to see James Cook having so much success anywhere but Buffalo. I'm selling James Cook so hard right now for a late first price. That is so easy to me. Now we're buying Trey Benson. Valued as about a third rounder on keep trade cut right now. You can get him for cheap, very, very cheap as a flyer. And I think it's totally worth it. He started off the season really, really slow. Really slow. Didn't look great. He just looked really hesitant. He wasn't dropping his shoulder pads. He seemed like he was just starstruck by the amount of talent in the NFL. It really felt that way. He just didn't feel ready for the NFL game yet. And that just happens sometimes with rookies, even with running backs. It happens, right? First 9 games, 3.02 yards per attempt, 2.48 yards after contact per attempt, and 5 missed tackles forced. Not great. Last 8 games, however, he really started to figure out in that second half. 5.7 yards per attempt, 3.86 yards after contact per attempt, and 5 missed tackles forced. Those are some numbers to really hit home on. He was limited snaps, was limited opportunities. However, he gained more snaps and opportunities throughout the season. He got more and more involved in this offense, even the receiving game, even in the pass blocking game, and got himself a secure role in the offense as the number 2 to James Conner. Now, James Conner is almost age 30. He's had a lot of miles on his legs, and he struggled with a lot of injury. This dude goes down to injury. Trey Benson is going to immediately jump in value to the point where a third rounder would be a laughable offer. Laughable offer. And you're looking at James Conner. His contract comes up in 2026. His contract's going to be up. This is a huge sign that we're probably looking at James Conner as a leave in Arizona next year. We're probably looking at him as a guy that's not going to be staying in Arizona for very long. Trey Benson is going to be the guy in the future, I think, as long as he continues to play well for Arizona this year. That's going to be quite exciting for fantasy football. So Trey Benson, bye. Now let's talk about Bryce Young. We are buying Bryce Young. I've talked about this all offseason. And I seriously, it boggles my mind so much how low his price is. He was the first overall pick 2 years ago. Destined to be a very, very good quarterback. Had a really bad rookie season. Historically bad rookie season. Then you start year 2. Also really bad. But then he spends time on the bench, learns from Andy Dalton, learns from Dave Canales, gets this offense together, and he comes out with trash at wide receiver. No offense to Jalen Coker, no offense to Javian Sanders. They're solid players. They were filled in nicely last year. But like this is one of the worst receiving cores in football last year. Bryce Young comes out and plays absolutely phenomenal football in the second half. Lights out football. He looks like one of the better quarterbacks in the entire National Football League. His big time throw percentage was only behind Lamar Jackson in the second half of the season. He was truly a difference-making quarterback. He competed with teams that he should not have competed with, including both Super Bowl contending teams, the Chiefs and the Eagles. Like, he was a great player, and he showed everything you wanted to see out of a first-round pick. He showed that second-year breakout. I know it was only half a season rather than a full season, but he was still the breakout we wanted to see. And now people are like, yeah, no, I'll take Michael Penix over him. I'll take 30-year-old Baker Mayfield over him. I'll take a guy who's proven nothing in the NFL, Cam Ward, over him. I'll take J.J. McCarthy over him. Another guy's proven nothing. I'll take a guy who's proven that he's a mediocre quarterback, but okay for fantasy mostly, and Kyler Murray. And I like Kyler Murray, but he's been disappointing lately, honestly. Seriously disappointing. And he's getting a little older, too, considering that he's a rushing quarterback. Jordan Love, a guy who severely disappointed in the second half last year, looks like a quarterback that's similar to Dak Prescott, where he's not going to change your team. I'll take him over Bryce Young. Like, people are saying that right now. I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, Bryce Young, for me, should be easily a top 12 dynasty quarterback. I think he should be that top 8 to 10 conversation. He's got the rushing upside. He showed that very clearly in the second half of last year. He was on nearly a 400-yard rushing pace. You have the passing upside. You saw the ability. You have a new weapon in Ted McMillan that's a beautiful possession wide receiver that makes big plays at every area of the field that's going to make those contested catches for Bryce Young and make his life a lot easier. I just don't get why we can't see the third-year breakout. I don't get what people don't see. He's valued as the QB 20 on Keep Track Out, going in like the 7th round of most startup drafts in Superflex leagues. I think it's absolutely absurd. Buy Bryce Young, please. If you can get him for a first, that's just easy. A late first right now, buy. Now, last two players, we're looking at the wide receiver position. Selling A.J. Brown in Dynasty. I don't like this one very much as an Eagles fan. However, I think there's probably someone in your league that's willing to pay a little too much for A.J. Brown. They're willing to pay for prime A.J. Brown. And here's the thing. A.J. Brown's value has slowly started to tink down. We've started to see that little tink down over the last few months since that Super Bowl because people are realizing, oh, shoot, he's entering age 28. And there was also a lot of frustration with A.J. Brown last year because of this Eagles offense being so run heavy. That it's slowly starting to dip. You saw in the beginning of last year, he was valued at like wide receiver 5 to 6, but now he's in that wide receiver 10 to 12 conversation. And as he ages, it's only going to seriously go down. So if you can still sell AJ Brown for like a first plus right now, which you can absolutely do easily in dynasty leagues, I've seen it done plenty of times right now over the offseason, I would take advantage of that. Now, don't sell for cheap. Don't sell for nothing. Don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. This is not a panic sell. This is not a sell at all costs. And honestly, none of these transactions are buy or sell at all costs. Buy or sell at the right value. You have to acquire value in Dynasty. You can't just listen to me say buy Bryce Young and send 3 firsts for him. That's not what I want you to do. I'm saying these players are buys and sells not only because I believe they're going to get better, but because I think the market is undervaluing or overvaluing them. So buy or sell at market price, because I think at that point you're getting a value. If you do something different than that, you might be not getting a value at all. And then we're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. This one boggles me too. Like, dude, I just saw him sold for the 108 in a dynasty league. Like, are we serious, guys? Are we serious right now? I get it. This rookie season was disappointing for fantasy, but it's almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns with Kyler Murray, a quarterback who has struggled a lot last year. And now all of a sudden, he was the first overall pick. He has almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns as a rookie. He's trash. He made so many great plays last year. He made phenomenal plays last year. And I get the concerns heading into year 2. The offense used him in a very particular way last year. They sent him downfield a lot, didn't get him those easy receptions. And as a result, it was just he wasn't getting involved early in the offense, and he just wasn't getting that consistent production. And that could bleed into next year, given the offensive coordinators and the offensive coaching staffs are the same. However, at the same time, you could argue Marvin Harrison Jr.'s talent and the level of breakout we could see in year 2 in the NFL is going to demand an early target share. You have Trey McBride, obviously, he's going to get his targets, but then you need a second dominant option, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is screaming to be that guy. I think he's going to get very involved in the offense early next year. He's going to get involved in those short areas as well as deep game. I think we're going to see a huge second-year breakout. He's going in redraft, too, as like a back-end wide receiver, too, like wide receiver 2024. I think it's fair given what happened in his rookie season, but I also think you looking at a lot of upside there because he can absolutely get in that top 8, top 10 conversation for fantasy this year. I'm looking at a huge breakout season of Marvin Harrison Jr. It's just people are way overreacting to the slightly disappointing rookie season. It's because we drafted him too high. Hindsight is 2020, right? But we just drafted him way too high. We are putting him in dynasty conversations as a top 5 wide receiver right away. And in a redraft, he was going as a top 10 wide receiver off the board. He's going nearly in the first round of drafts. It was disappointing, yes, but we expected way too much, and we let our overreaction significantly decrease his value to a point where he's worth trading for. So, without further ado, that's it for the show today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you tuning into Hutch Coming in Clutch. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Blue Sky at HutchSimi_FF on both apps. Follow the podcast on TikTok and Instagram, and also subscribe to the podcast so you'll be notified every single time a new episode does drop. We'll see you all next week.